What's good, YouTube? Today I'm going to be talking about the iPod and the invention of it and what impact or how much it impacted our technology space. So, I personally did not own an iPod. I know my brother did. He got the iPod Video. I think it was like the 5th gen. And then later on, he got the iPod Touch. I actually bought the Walkman, Sony Walkman. I think it was like 30 or 40 bucks. I didn't want to drop like $100 on the iPod, and the iPod Touch I think was like 300. It was really up there, and I didn't really want to spend that much money. Let's see. The first iPod I think was like 2002 ish, and then iTunes came out in 2003. Let's see. Yeah, iPod 3rd gen. I would probably say when the iPod Shuffle, the Nano and the Shuffle, so like 2005, 2006 is really when I heard about it and got like obsessed about it and really wanted it as a kid. But I just didn't want to spend that money. I was mowing lawns, I was making some money, but I did not want to spend that money. I didn't really fully understand it either. Like I didn't really understand iTunes and stuff like that. So a lot of the stuff that my brother and I started doing was we would go to Walmart and buy a whole CD for $12, and then I don't know if ripping was the right term, but we would rip it and put it onto iTunes. So we found it was a lot cheaper to do that. It was a lot cheaper to buy the whole CD for $12 compared to, I think each song was like $1. Maybe it was $3. It was pretty expensive. It could have been $3, but I remember it being pretty expensive per song, and I really didn't want to spend like $3 a song. So you might as well just get the whole album. And Walmart would have some sales and stuff, so you could get them from like anywhere from $8 to $12 for the whole CD. And I don't remember how many songs we had, but we had a lot of CDs. I remember the first album that I ever bought personally was AC/DC Back in Black. And then I got obsessed with AC/DC. I got obsessed with Red Hot Chili Peppers. I think I had some Van Halen stuff. I know I had like Van Halen. What was it? The skateboard trucks. Like there was like Van Halen painted. That was really cool. So yeah, the 5th gen iPod. I actually have one now, and I modded it. And now I only had like a 1 terabyte SSD on me at the time. I don't know if it could function with that much storage, but I put a 1 terabyte SSD in it. So I got a mod pack. I did that. I put a bigger battery, so instead of it being like I think it was 800 megahertz milliamps. That's what it was, not megahertz. I think it was 800 millihertz. I think I put like a 2000 in it. So I mean, I have an iPod now, and I use iTunes, and I really enjoy going back and using old technology like that. I'm not a big fan of where music and TV shows and movies are right now with the whole streaming thing. So the introduction of the iPod was absolutely groundbreaking, and I kind of wish we could still use that in that sense. And I know a lot of people with iPhones and just smartphones in general, you probably wouldn't really have a use for like an iPod because you can use your phone like an iPod. I don't know if you could really use an iPhone like an iPod though, because I think you have to use Apple Music, and I think you have to pay for Apple Music, which just kind of irks me. I wish we could go back to the simpler times of the iPod Touch, and maybe not even further back, to be honest, than the iPod Touch. Even like this is standard iPod, 80 gigs iPod in 2006. I mean, how big is a song? Maybe like 3 or 4 megabytes, I think. So I think you could easily fit thousands of songs on an iPod for 80 gigs. I think the one I have now, the video one, I think the 5th generation, I think had 30 gigs. I think that's plenty of room size. And I think it was my brother's old one that I modded, because I don't remember actually ever buying it. So I think I modded one of his old ones. So the introduction of the iPod was completely groundbreaking. In my opinion, I feel like in 2000, before, I think CDs were, I can't remember when exactly CDs came out. I want to say probably 2000. So like CDs were still really popular. You had the anti-skip CD players, so those were incredible. I remember not, well, I probably could have afforded it, with mowing lawns and stuff, but I remember not being able to afford that, and I would get the cheap ones at Walmart for like $15, and they skipped really bad. I don't remember if I finally got a Colby. I want to say it was called a Colby, but I can't remember. But I remember getting one of those, and I remember always going on class trips, and you'd be in the bus, and you would literally just like exchange CDs with each other. Be like, "Oh, you got this album? I'll give you this one if you let me borrow this one for a week." And you kind of just like, you know, give each other CDs back and forth, and that's kind of how you heard about new music, new sound, your new favorite bands and stuff like that. I think that's how I got introduced to like System of a Down, Korn. I think trying to think what was another band that I kind of Kill Switch Engage probably would be another one. I think I learned through that way. So like that's kind of the way I preferred music. So I don't really remember having much of the iPods, like using that. I know I used the iTunes software for my Sony Walkman, and I had a decent amount of songs on it, and I would listen to that when I would be mowing lawns and stuff. So like I still would use kind of a device like the iPod. I just never really owned an iPod specifically. But going from having just a mass array of CDs and then a CD player, you literally had all your music in this little device that was smaller than your smartphone. I mean, it was the size of some of these iPods, like the iPod Shuffle, like the size of, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 quarters. It was insanely small. That I remember seeing that and just being blown away. I think the iPod Nano is one that I always wanted, and I can't remember how much they charged for it. Now I'm on Wikipedia right now, just kind of refreshing my brain. But I can't see the actual price for it. I think it. Oh, here we go. I think they said it was like two. Yeah, I think it's $2.99 or something. I don't know if that's with inflation or what, but I really wanted an iPod, and I could not stomach dropping that money on it. So I just got the Walkman, and you could still use the Walkman with the iTunes, and it was a cheaper way to buy the CDs because then you still had a physical media copy of it, and you wouldn't have to worry about, like, okay, if your iTunes account gets hacked or whatever, you just could open up another iTunes account and upload the stuff up there. And I remember throwing all my CDs out when I moved. I thought all of the stuff that I uploaded to my iTunes account, I thought it was stored in the cloud. Well, I was wrong. Got down here now, and yeah, none of my music is up there anymore. So that's definitely a bummer, but I just think it's really cool to look back on the technology that we've had in the past and how groundbreaking it was. I mean, it's just insane that you could have 80 gigs, probably, I don't know, 1,000, 3,000 songs just in your pocket. I just think that's absolutely insane. And I don't know if I was 2006, I was like 10, 11 ish, give or take. I don't really remember what it was really like when this got introduced. I remember all my friends having it, and I thought it was incredible, but I don't really know what the perception was around. I mean, obviously people are probably blown away, but I just remember a lot of my friends having it and being blown away by it. And I just think it'd be so cool to go back to just physical media. And I might do a video on that as well in the future, but just physical media in general, I think would be absolutely awesome to go back to, instead of all these streaming services that charge you out of the yin yang, or however that phrase goes. But anyway, I just wanted to do a little quick retrospective of the iPod Touch, the iPod Shuffle, the iPod Nano. I'd probably say the iPod Video, the 5th generation, was one of my favorites because I actually use it now, and you can watch movies and stuff on it. It's just really cool. So anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, I would love a like on the video. It really helps out for the channel and its growth and algorithm. But anyway, if you guys have any other topics you want me to cover, let me know in the comments down below. And until next time, have a good one.